My name is Eric Royer and I'm the director for Stepcraft here in North America. And today I want to talk to you about 4 different spindle options that we have for our Stepcraft D-Series CNC system. Now this is a perfect example of why Stepcraft is a world leader in CNC technology. The fact that we give you options so that we don't force you to buy just one particular spindle and say this is all you can use for your machine. Depending on the use that you have for your machine, you may not need a high power spindle. You may not need a computer control spindle. You may be perfectly fine with a Dremel or a Dewalt. So we give you the ability to put 4 different options on there to meet your needs and your budget. Now I've arranged these spindles on the table in order of price. So we have the Dremel 4000, the Dewalt DW611, the Stepcraft MM-1000, and the Stepcraft HF500 computer control spindle. Now let's start by taking a look at the Dremel 4000. So this is commonly known as a handheld rotary tool. Very popular, very easy to find in most big box stores, home improvement centers, and certainly online. They range in price from $79 to about $140 depending on what kind of kit you buy and accessories that come with it. Now in order to mount the Dremel to the Stepcraft machine, you have to use our special 43mm to Dremel adapter. Now it's a 1.6 amp AC brushed motor that's in here, and there's a variable speed control dial to vary the RPMs, and you have a switch for powering it on and off. There's a button here that'll lock the shaft so that you could use a wrench to take the tool on and off. Now it's important to note that the Dremel 4000 is only capable of 1/8 inch shank tooling, so that will limit you into the type of tooling that you're going to use on your CNC machine. But if you're a hobbyist looking to do light duty work, 1/8 inch tooling might be all you need. Now because there's a power switch on the Dremel, that means you'd have to manually start and stop the spindle with the job. However, Stepcraft makes a remote switchable power controller, which is a little black box that you can plug the power cord into, and it will actually turn the Dremel on and off with your G-code, with your program file. And that same attachment works with the DW611 from Dewalt and the MM-1000. Now the Dremel is a perfect tool for light duty use. So if you're a hobbyist that makes model airplanes, model boats, cutting light plastics, balsa wood, light plywoods, this is a perfect tool for that. It's inexpensive and it'll get the job done every time. Now the next spindle is the Dewalt DW611. Now in the DIY CNC world and the inexpensive CNC kit machines, this is probably one of the most popular options to use for a spindle on a CNC. They're readily available at big box stores, especially home improvement centers like Home Depot and Lowe's. You can find them online. They range anywhere from, I've seen them from $119 to about $139. Now it comes with a handheld case because this is actually meant to be a handheld trim router. But if you remove the case, you're left with just the motor. And in order to use this on a Stepcraft machine, we have a special bracket that has a hole that's large enough to support this. So you'd have to put that bracket on the machine in order to make this work. Now, this is a little bit more expensive than the Dremel. However, it's a lot more powerful. This is 1 1/4 horsepower. It supports up to 1/4 inch shank tooling, and it comes with a 1/4 inch collet. So you'd have to buy an 1/8 inch collet online. I've not seen 1/8 inch collets available at the stores, but I do know there's a company called Elair Corp that you can get them from online. They're about $25 or so, and you can go both back and forth between 1/8 and 1/4 that way. Now, like the Dremel, the RPMs are controlled via a dial on the top here, and there is a power on-off button right here and a button to lock the shaft, so you could put a wrench on here to take the tool on and off. Now this is an air-cooled spindle, so it draws air in from a fan on the top and it blows it through the case and it exhausts it out here on the bottom. So this will keep the unit nice and cool. The problem is it tends to force air downward into the path of what you're cutting, and it tends to blow the dust everywhere. So it's a little bit of a messy solution, and out of all these spindles, this is definitely the noisiest. But if you're looking to do woodworking, hard and soft woods, if you're looking to do plastics, if you're looking for a little bit more power but you don't want to spend a lot of money, this is a really good solution for your Stepcraft D-Series machine. Now the next spindle I want to talk about is the MM-1000 from Stepcraft. Now we have a full video on this spindle, so I will link to it below, and please watch that and it'll give you all the details that there is on this particular spindle. But I'm going to give you some highlights on it here in this video. So this is a 1,000-watt spindle. It is a little bit more powerful than the Dewalt DW611. This is actually designed for CNC use. So it is a AC motor. It is air cooled, but the bearings on it are designed specifically for lateral loads. So this spindle is designed to run longer jobs with a high lateral load. It uses special collets that are designed for the Crest and the Moffel line of spindles, and they're available here in 1/8 inch and 1/4 inch, but they are also available in metric sizes as well. So you can get these collets simply by ordering them directly from Stepcraft. Now, like the other two spindles, there is a variable speed control. The knob is right up here on the top, so you can vary the RPMs. The RPMs on this spindle is roughly from 10,000 to 25,000 RPM. The power switch is located on the front, but again, you could use our remote switchable power controller to turn this on and off automatically with the CNC program. Now, unlike the other two spindles, this MM-1000 also has an automatic tool changer adapter that you can add onto it so that you can automate your tool changing process on your CNC. And that will use ER11 collets, which gives you a pretty wide range of shank sizes. Now, without a doubt, the MM-1000 is the most powerful out of the 4 choices that are here. This is good for anything from hard, softwood, plastics, aluminum, brass, copper. This spindle will do it all. Now, it does not have a computer control RPM, but for most of the jobs that you're going to run, you're going to set your RPM manually to the tool that you're using, so it really isn't going to make that much of a difference. But if you need more power, this is the choice that I would recommend. Now, the last spindle I want to talk about is the HF500. Now, don't let the size fool you. This is actually the smallest physical size spindle out of the ones that are here. It's a 500-watt spindle, but it uses a brushless DC motor, where these 3 are AC motors. So there is no brushes in this. It is air cooled, but it's completely sealed, bearings, and maintenance free. The spindle is completely computer controlled. That's what this orange box is. This would connect to your Stepcraft CNC. This acts as the power supply, and it also takes the signal from the CNC and it varies and controls the RPM on the spindle. Now, one of the reasons I'm redoing this video is we had a video that I did a couple years ago on spindles, and at the time this spindle needed an external air pump which helped keep the bearings cool and clean. That's been eliminated because now we use special sealed bearings on here, making this a maintenance-free system. Now, the HF500 has an RPM range of between 5,000 and about 25,000 RPM. Now, because it is a DC brushless motor, it tends to be a lot torqueier, which is why it's in such a small case. Now, the other reason it's in a small case is because the electronics are not included in this motor unit themselves. They're included in the orange control box. The HF500 uses ER11 collets, which are standard. You can buy them pretty much anywhere and online. They come in a wide variety of sizes. In the US, the largest size you'll be able to use is 1/4 inch. So 1/8 inch and 1/4 inch are going to be the 2 most common. Those collets are also included with the unit when you buy it here from Stepcraft in the US. Now, you can also get metric collets as well if that's what you need. In addition, the HF500 also has an automatic tool changer option, which will automate the tool change process for you on your CNC system. So the MM-1000 and the HF500 both have automatic tool changers. Now, the automatic tool changer for the HF500 here in the States is limited to 1/8 inch shank only. So if you have a requirement for 1/4 inch shank tooling and you want to use an automatic tool changer, then you'll have to use the MM-1000 spindle, because that will also use ER11 collets, and it'll give you the ability to go up to 1/4 inch shank sizes. So if you want an automatic tool changer and you're looking at the HF500, just keep in mind you're limited to 1/8 inch shanks. If you need 1/4 inch, then look at the tool changer for the MM-1000. Now, the HF500 is great for very accurate work. It's excellent for engraving, doing fine PC board detail work. It'll actually do everything that the other spindles will do, specifically the MM-1000. It'll do aluminum, it'll do hard and soft woods without a problem. Now the difference is because it's half the power of the MM-1000, your speed and feed rates are going to be considerably lower using the HF500 than they would be on this particular spindle. So that's something to keep in mind. If high volume production and running fast and with aggressive speeds and feeds is not something that you're concerned about, but you are looking for something that is fully computer controlled, that is very accurate, then the HF500 is probably going to be a really good solution for you. Now I want to take a second, I want to just briefly go over a summary of the advantages and disadvantages of each spindle. Now the Dremel 4000, an advantage of this spindle is it's very inexpensive and it's very easy to find, to be able to buy them both online and in stores. A disadvantage is it's low power. You are limited to 1/8" shank tooling, and it is really not designed for long run lateral load jobs like on a, say, a 10-hour 3D carving that you might do. If you're going to do work like that continually, then I would not recommend going with the Dremel. If you're going to do light duty, just balsa and light plywood work for model making, and you don't want to spend a lot of money on a spindle, you want a lower cost of entry, then I would consider looking at this, understanding that you'll probably want to upgrade to one of the other spindles as you start using your CNC more and you find more opportunity with things you can make with your CNC system. Now the Dewalt DW611 is a great choice. It has a lot more power than the Dremel. It is available at big box stores and online pretty easily, but if you did have by some chance, if this spindle were to fail on a weekend, you could probably go to a Home Depot or Lowe's and pick up a replacement and be up and running again, so that's an advantage. It is quite a bit less expensive than the MM-1000. It's about half the price. It is very powerful. It's a 1 1/4 horse. It's not quite as powerful as the MM-1000, but it will take care of plastics and hardwoods. It'll even do your non-ferrous metals like aluminum, brass, and copper without a problem. Just keep in mind that, again, even though it's a very popular choice within the CNC DIY community and the kit build community, it is not designed to be a CNC spindle. So if you're going to run a lot of high volume jobs that each job runs for a long period of time, this will work for a while. Certainly better than the Dremel will. But just know that over time, your bearings and your brushes are probably going to take some abuse on this. And you might find yourself eventually looking to move up to a dedicated CNC spindle that was designed that way. The MM-1000, out of all the CNC machines that we sell in the D-Series here in the United States, this is our most popular spindle. This gets sold with the majority of our systems. It does because it's the most powerful out of the 4 here. The automatic tool changer is very robust on this and will give you a lot of flexibility, and both the tool changer and the spindle are designed for not only high volume, long run jobs, but it'll also handle aggressive work like hardwoods and hard plastics and aluminum, brass, and copper, things like that. So it is a very popular spindle. Now the downside of this spindle to a lot of people when they compare, say, the HF to the MM, is they say the MM is not computer controlled as far as the RPM. So that is something that is looked at as a negative on this spindle by a lot of people. Now the reality is, once you put a bit in this spindle, you're going to set your RPM and your feed and speeds according to the manufacturer's recommendation for that particular tool. So the actual use for varying the RPM via computer control, while it's convenient, it's nice to have, on a desktop series CNC machine, it is not that critical. So while it is nice to have, there's a trade-off between computer control and more power. So it really just depends on what your application is going to be and what you're looking to get out of your spindle and what you're looking to produce with your CNC system. So the RPM control, don't let that be a showstopper. You have to look past that and look ahead into what kind of operations are you going to do with your machine. Are you going to do a lot of hardwoods? Are you going to do a lot of long carvings? Are you going to do a lot of aluminum work? Is speed of getting the job done something that's important to you? This might be the spindle choice to look at. So now the HF500, being that it's a computer control spindle, and it is the most expensive out of all the spindles here, but it's also the most versatile. It has the ability to program in RPMs from a range as low as 5,000 all the way up to 25,000. It's perfect for engraving and fine detail work. It will do the harder woods and the aluminums, but just keep in mind it will not do them as aggressively as the MM-1000. It does have a tool changer, but the limitation there is simply that you're limited to 1/8 inch tooling. But if that's not a problem for you, then by all means, then this might be the perfect solution. Now, the HF500 is very, very popular around the world for our D-Series machines. There's a lot of people that I've seen some incredible detailed work that they do. I've seen a lot of aluminum projects. We've been using it now for 5 years here. It's a great spindle, without a doubt. The only difference that I would tell a customer if you're looking between these two is how much power do you really need? Is speed and trying to get jobs done quickly, if that's more important to you, then you might want to give up some of the computer control functionality for the raw power. If that's not a concern to you, but having the flexibility to vary RPMs for different jobs, especially if you're using the tool changer and you're using different engraving bits, each one might have a different RPM range and you could just program it in, then the HF500 is the way to go. Out of all of these spindles here, obviously the two Stepcraft spindles are the ones that we recommend the most because they are designed to be a CNC spindle, whereas this is a router and this is a rotary tool. These are definitely less expensive options, where these tend to be a little bit more expensive. But you just have to ask yourself, what are you looking to do with your CNC, and what type of results are you looking to get? Is speed of jobs important? Is accuracy and detail important? Is it important to have a tool changer? Is it important to have the flexibility to vary RPMs on the fly? These are things that I can't answer for you. You have to ask yourself. My team will work with you, and we will certainly make sure that you are buying the spindle that will best match the needs for the application that you have. Now, the last thing I want to talk about in this video is maintenance, okay? Each of these spindles does have some level of maintenance. It doesn't really matter whether it's computer controlled DC or AC motor. The fact of the matter is each one of them has they're air cooled, so they have an internal means of pulling air through the case and exhausting it to keep the motor and the case itself cool. Because of that, dust that's in the air from when you're cutting will get ingested into the spindle and then exhausted out another part of the spindle. So on this one, it's in here and out on the side. On the Dewalt, it's in through the top and out on the bottom. The MM, it's in through the top and out on the side. And the HF is same thing. It's in the top and it circulates. So because of that, we want to make sure that you clean the spindles often. Now, I recommend after every job to just, when you're vacuum cleaning the CNC machine to keep your area clean, to simply just vacuum the exhaust ports or the inlets on the motor. Just put the vacuum over it, maybe hold your hand around it. That'll pull any loose dust inside the motor out, keep the spindle running cooler, and it's going to let the brushes and bearings last longer. Now, especially when you're working with jobs like MDF, where it's a really fine dust, that stuff sticks to everything. So if you're running MDF jobs, I definitely recommend that you make it a point of vacuuming out both the inlet and the output of each of these spindles after every job. I promise you that that's going to extend the life of your spindle dramatically. When we get a spindle back where somebody says that it's not working anymore properly, we'll take it apart. That's the first thing we do. And when we look at it, 90% of the time, the inside of the spindle is just caked up with dust from a long period of time because it was never properly cleaned out. So no matter what spindle you use, do yourself a favor and make sure that you vacuum it out after every job. That's going to extend the life of it dramatically, and it's going to leave you with less headaches and more enjoyment on your CNC experience. I hope you found this video helpful, and now you have a little bit more understanding as to the different spindle choices for a Stepcraft D-Series CNC machine, and hopefully this guided you a little bit as to what would be the best spindle to suit your needs and your application. Now, if you have any additional questions, please don't hesitate to call myself or my team at 203-556-1856, and we'll be glad to help you and walk through your application and make sure you're buying exactly what you need to get the job done within the budget that you have. If you like this video and you want to see more like them, please hit the like button. And if you're not already subscribed to our channel, please hit the subscribe button so you're notified as soon as we post new videos live on YouTube. Thank you very much for watching.